Welcome to Live Economic News, your ultimate destination for real-time updates and in-depth analysis of the ever-changing world of economics. We are your reliable source for the latest economic developments, market trends, and financial news delivered to you live as it happens. To stay ahead of the curve and make informed choices, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell. Join our growing community of enthusiasts and let's navigate the world of economics together. Stay tuned, stay informed. The emergence of a potential wider conflict in the Middle East has sent shockwaves through the global economic landscape, complicating recovery efforts from the crisis induced by COVID-19 and the Ukraine war, caution finance ministers and officials. The specter of escalating regional tensions looms large, casting a shadow over the recently concluded IMF and World Bank meetings in Morocco. Against the backdrop of Israel's declaration of war on Hamas and its subsequent intense assault on the Gaza Strip.
John, we are talking about that, and we're talking to Israel about that. We're talking to Egypt about that. It's an ongoing conversation. I can't get into the details.
Concerns have intensified. Officials emphasize that such broader conflicts pose substantial threats to the world economy. This situation not only heightens geopolitical uncertainties, but also raises significant economic ramifications, disrupting the delicate balance that global economies have been striving to achieve in the wake of recent challenges. The urgency for diplomatic solutions and strategic interventions is underscored, highlighting the fragile state of affairs in the international arena. The recent statements from prominent figures in the global financial landscape paint a concerning picture for the future.
We now need to look together at the broader picture. We have to build a new energy model that relies on sustainable policies.
France's finance minister, Bruno Le Maire, has issued a stark warning about the potential consequences if the current conflict escalates or spreads across the entire region. According to him, these ramifications could be wide-ranging, from surges in energy prices fueling inflation to a decline in overall market confidence. This sentiment was echoed by Kristalina Georgieva, the head of the IMF, who described the situation as a new cloud on not the sunniest horizon for the global economy. These cautionary statements reflect the apprehension shared by delegates in Marrakesh about the lukewarm medium-term prospects for the global economy. The stakes are high, and these warnings underscore the delicate balance the world's economies currently hang upon, emphasizing the need for careful and strategic decision-making in the face of these uncertainties. As global leaders gathered, there was an initial sense of relief among officials that central banks had successfully navigated the delicate balance of curbing inflation without triggering recessions, a risk the IMF had previously highlighted in April.
So here I want to emphasize, it's still not very strong growth. 2.9%, if we look at the average from 2000 to 2019, global economy used to grow at about 3.6.
Before the meetings, Pierre-Olivier Gourinchas, the IMF chief economist, acknowledged the prudent measures taken by central banks, tightening monetary policies, controlling credit growth, and stabilizing the labor market without excessive intervention. However, the atmosphere shifted dramatically during the discussions. The escalation of the Israel-Hamas conflict became a pressing concern, adding to the existing unease about persistent vulnerabilities in the global economy. The IMF's analysis painted a grim picture, pointing to deteriorating long-term growth trends. Economies faced challenges in boosting productivity, barriers to free trade were mounting due to worsening political tensions, and public debt was on the rise worldwide. In this context, Jamie Dimon, the chief executive of JP Morgan, characterized the current times as the most dangerous the world had seen in decades, underscoring the gravity of the situation and the urgency for thoughtful and strategic global economic management. In the latest IMF short-term forecasts, prepared prior to the eruption of violence in the Middle East, a noticeable absence of significant positive indicators was evident, except for a few select countries like the US and India. This absence of prominent bright spots in the global economic outlook has raised concerns among experts.
So the market has sort of confidence that irrespective of the election outcome, you will see some type of fiscal package forthcoming.
Joyce Chown, the chair of international research at JP Morgan, emphasized this sentiment, stating, "There's no accelerant here." Her observation highlights a prevailing lack of optimism in the short-term economic landscape. Additionally, Chung pointed out that there is a general consensus among experts that there isn't a prominent catalyst on the horizon for the next year or so, further underlining the prevailing uncertainty and caution among financial analysts and economists. This cautious stance underscores the challenges faced by economies worldwide and the need for careful economic planning and policymaking to navigate these uncertain times. Officials have pinpointed a significant economic threat stemming from the events of October 7, the potential escalation of the conflict between Israel and Gaza into a broader regional war. This escalation not only has the potential to erode confidence, but could also trigger a fresh wave of inflation in economies that are just beginning to recover from a series of price shocks. The IMF has indicated that a 10% increase in oil prices could raise global inflation by approximately 0.4 percentage points. Geeta Gopinath, the deputy head of the IMF, emphasized the multitude of challenges the world is facing, including the Middle East conflict and its possible impact on energy prices. She highlighted the precarious situation of high debt levels coupled with a prolonged period of elevated interest rates, stating that there are numerous factors that could go awry. Pascal Donahoe, the head of the Eurogroup, expressed concerns about the conflict's effect on inflation expectations and its implications for managing price pressures in 2024. Despite the ongoing conflict, he predicted Europe's growth, albeit at a slower pace than anticipated. International pressure is intensifying on Israel and Egypt to permit the entry of aid into Gaza, amidst concerns of a worsening crisis in the region. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is actively engaging in efforts to prevent the situation from escalating further. The U.S., along with other nations, is advocating for the reopening of the Rafah border crossing between Gaza and Egypt, specifically to allow foreign nationals to exit the region. Blinken confirmed plans to reopen the crossing and stated that the U.S. is collaborating with Israel, Egypt, and the UN to establish a mechanism for delivering much-needed assistance to the people in Gaza. This concerted effort reflects the global community's recognition of the urgency of the situation and the need for coordinated humanitarian initiatives to provide aid to those in need. The situation in Gaza remains dire, with ongoing conflicts and humanitarian challenges. Despite initial reports suggesting the Rafah border crossing could open, diplomats involved in the matter confirmed that it had not occurred. Both the Israeli Prime Minister's office and Hamas denied the existence of a temporary ceasefire to facilitate aid entry into the Strip. In response to the crisis, the Israeli military established a second evacuation route for Gazans to flee south, assuring that this path would be safe from bombing between 8 a.m. and midday. Israel's actions have significantly disrupted life in Gaza, with supplies of electricity, water, fuel, and goods cut off. Additionally, almost half of Gaza's 2.3 million people have been ordered to leave the northern part of the Strip as Israel continues its bombardment in anticipation of a ground invasion. The conflict has resulted in a tragic toll, with Palestinian health officials reporting 2,750 deaths and 9,700 injuries. Israeli officials stated that over 1,400 people were killed during Hamas's assault, with more than 3,000 injuries and around 120 individuals taken hostage. The humanitarian situation in the region remains a cause for grave concern, demanding urgent international attention and assistance. Israel has recently announced plans to evacuate residents from 28 towns located within 2 kilometers of its border with Lebanon. This decision comes following the U.S. announcement over the weekend that it had deployed a second aircraft carrier strike group to the eastern Mediterranean. In response to the escalating conflict between Hamas and Israel, U.S. President Joe Biden cautioned Iran against further escalation while also emphasizing that it would be a significant error for Israel to reoccupy Gaza. As the conflict enters its 10th day, tensions remain high in the region. Unity amidst crisis. Israeli response to Hamas attack. In the wake of Hamas's devastating attack, Jewish Israeli society has demonstrated remarkable resilience and unity. Swift mobilization efforts have been put into place, with relief operations and emergency services working tirelessly to address the aftermath of the assault. Impact on American Jews and Democratic Party. Across the ocean, the attack in Israel has deeply affected many American Jews, evoking feelings of fear and concern. This event has become all-consuming, serving as a significant test for the Democratic Party. The party's response to the crisis may have far-reaching implications, potentially influencing the dynamics of the upcoming presidential election. Beijing's ambitions and China-Arab ties. The crisis in the Middle East is emerging as a pivotal test for Beijing's ambitions in a region historically dominated by the U.S. Diplomats and analysts are closely observing China-Arab ties, viewing the situation as a litmus test for China's aspirations to enhance its influence globally. Unraveling Iran's role. Hamas's attack on Israel has shed light on Iran's intricate connections with militants in the region. However, the true intentions and calculations of Iran regarding the crisis remain ambiguous to Western capitals, posing a complex challenge for international diplomacy. Humanitarian crisis in Gaza Strip. Amidst the geopolitical turmoil, the Gaza Strip is grappling with a severe humanitarian crisis. Characterized by extreme population density, parts of the enclave are even more crowded than Manhattan. The situation is exacerbated by a high proportion of children to adults, highlighting the vulnerability of the population. Other developments. Polish election. Poland's parliamentary election results are anxiously awaited. Exit polls indicate a potential shift in power, with the opposition's civic platform and its partners poised to secure a majority in Poland's lower house of parliament, potentially defeating the incumbent Law and Justice Party. Economic outlook. Charles Schwab, the Texas-based broker, is anticipated to report a decline in third-quarter profits. The dip is attributed to customers withdrawing their deposits following a regional banking crisis earlier this year, reflecting broader economic concerns. Monetary policy. Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia President Patrick Harker is scheduled to speak at various public events today, shedding light on the central bank's perspective on the current economic climate. How do you perceive the role of international powers like China and the United States in the ongoing crisis in the Middle East? Share your thoughts on their influence and the potential implications of their actions on the region's stability and future. Thank you for engaging with us on this critical topic. We hope this discussion has provided valuable insights into the complex dynamics of the Middle East crisis. If you found this information informative and thought-provoking, please consider liking this video to support our channel. For more in-depth analyses and updates on global events, don't forget to subscribe. Stay informed, stay engaged, and be sure to subscribe for more enlightening discussions. Thank you for being a part of our community.